Do you ever feel like your mind is chattering about things that you really don't want to think about, creating problems that you don't really want to focus on, and you feel like it is this separate entity? I think we've all felt that, right? I'm going to explain to you what that is, why it seems like it's so difficult to take control over it, and then I'm going to give you some solutions for it, because you can end that. In fact, you can go to a space of relaxing. We don't want your blood pressure going up or you freaking out. So let's get started. I think you're going to like this video. Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through the fears and live an amazing life. A lot of stuff going on out there, and there will continue to be. So that gets the old brain going even more. It's like, do I still have to wear that cloth over my face? So I'm going to give you a couple pointers. They're going to help you really recognize when you are starting to do something that is simply programming and part of the collective consciousness. You see, most of what happens up there, is really not your fault. There is programming throughout humanity that we participate in because we're just one energy field with different expressions within it. So we're not separate from one another, but it appears that you are. I'm making separate choices. So we think of ourselves as separate individuals, which means that what am I going to do? Well, history has told us that we need to protect that individual entity that you are. Going out and hoarding toilet paper. There is no I care about you in that. And so because we've had to survive for so long to keep this body going, to survive, to eat, to all these things, we've conditioned ourselves to focus primarily on our needs only. All right, so we can be giving and we can do all these amazing things, but we're still mostly, even within that, concerned about me and my stuff, because a lot of these people out there in those groups are still battling one another for their good causes, and that is still the ego wanting things to be a certain way and finding that there's an enemy out there. There are no enemies. Everybody is a facet of you. Everyone is an expression of the one energy. Now, some of you I know are saying, why would we want to explore this? Well, you know, all those answers will be known to you. I have an idea of what it is. That's another video that I have shared many of these ideas with you. You don't have to have it make sense for this video to work for you. So the conditioning is the conditioning. Why we came down here, we're not going to talk about, but you are here. And you don't want to try and get out of this experience because you want to master it. All right? Regardless of whether or not you know what you're going to go to, believe me, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So you, as the entity, as the energy field here that's going to continue on, brings that energy field with you. All right? That's what we're experiencing, is the history. Everything's cause and effect. The history of the centuries of humans we're experiencing now here. We're still a product of that. That's why history keeps repeating itself. Now, I did a video on 1917, 1918, when World War I was underway and there was a massive illness on the planet that wiped, I think, 25 to 28% of the population on the planet out. Well, we had the same things going on. I don't want to wear this. It's a violation of my free will, when we know that by wearing that, you actually stop germs from spreading, because people are still thinking, and you may be doing this, it's about me and what I want, and I don't want to wear it. There's no, hey, guess what? We know for a fact, this is why surgeons and nurses wear them, that it stops germs from spreading. Even no matter what, it's the flu, a cold, anything. But people will make a big deal out of something because they personally want something. That's the ego. So you may be doing this. So I'm going to have you ask yourself a question, because you can stop all of these negative things coming into your head and frustration and everything, is that thought about me? Is that thought about me and what I want? Probably 99%, maybe some of you 100% of the time will be yes. Yes, it's about me. And what about the consideration out there of the others? Because sometimes we have to do things that we personally don't prefer, but it is best for the collective. Now, I'm going to ask you something right now. If you have that chatter and you feel like you can't shut it down, I'm going to tell you why. This is really critical. I'm going to tell you why it doesn't shut down. It doesn't shut down because you are conditioned to believe that you are an individual entity, to protect yourself, and you like to be in control of that. Our brains are programmed to be in control. So if things are really, chaotic, or you're unhappy or whatever, you're familiar with unhappiness. So you're familiar with being broke. You're familiar with bad relationships. So the ego likes to be in control. It knows failure. It knows lack. It knows abuse. So it will stay in it because it knows how to control that situation, even if it feels bad. That is a physical programming that takes place. Things start to fire off, and you've actually conditioned it to say, okay, I know this. I'm familiar with this. I know how to handle this, even though it feels bad. As soon as you go into turf that is unfamiliar, the ego doesn't feel like it's in control. It doesn't know what to do with a happy relationship or money. So a lot of times you'll self-sabotage yourself because you want that familiar turf, because the ego likes to be in charge. I know how to be a broke person. And then you can say all these things. So these things that go in your head are your protection system. Now you guys know, I'll pull him out for you. So we talk about the ego. The ego is really just your part, your energy field, that is trying to get you everything that it wants. It's a separate entity, so to speak. It's an energy field. It's part of you. But it's the part of you that says, I need food and I need it over you, or I want that. And it goes to this extreme. Now, here's the deal. Is it likes to be in control because it knows that when it's in control, it's always going to look after your best interests, including toilet paper. No. And so what do? We listen to this basic sort of Neanderthal kind of thinking that is survival mode. It's very primary, but so now we go into the world of luxury and goods and all these things that we've created that are really unnecessary, that we feel are important. We're told it's important, so we're programmed on television and commercials and everything. It tells us we need to look a certain way, we need to wear certain things. So now you're being programmed, so that's the brain, and the mind is saying that if I do that, then I'm okay. And so the ego decides it wants things. It wants whatever it is. It likes to be in charge. So every time you try and change this, and so that would mean that the ego has to take a back seat for a while, what you must do is recognize it's not going to go away. So many of you battle it and you don't even realize you're doing it. So the comments, come on, can we stop talking about the material thing you put on your pie hole? I mean, it's getting a little boring. This is not going to last forever. The Spanish flu didn't. It's a small period of time that we're going to look back and remember and say, what was the big deal? So I had to do this for a while. But people are arguing about that, and they're mad at people who do wear them and want you to wear them. And so that's your ego saying, I want something. Yeah, and it's okay. You can't help it. So I want something, and so if you're not doing what I want or acting like I want or believe what I want, I'm going to argue because I have to be right. Awakened people don't have to be right. They can still have opinions. I'll be really honest with you. When you go into super high frequency, you don't even have an opinion. Because everything's real in the material world to that person. they create their own reality. Everything is just a probability. And so there's no right, no wrong. And so you can have an opinion or feelings about certain things, but you no longer care if somebody else doesn't, they're not on board with you. That's programmed. It's going to take a while for you to recognize they don't have to agree with me, and I don't have to argue with them to make them agree with me. So you start to think of this as a separate entity. So when it starts to talk again, it will. That's so not true. You have to recognize, there it is again. There's that protection system that wants to be in control, that likes familiarity, and likes to know that it's okay, that what I say is right. Come on, how can what you believe be right? It's right for you. There's 7 billion people on the planet. You have all the answers? You do, for you. You don't have to argue. And, it's a violation of my free will. There's no such thing as a violation of your free will. It's impossible. You always have free will. Your free will is how you choose to believe and think about any situation, no matter what it is, because there's going to be stuff going on out there, and you just don't get to do anything you want. Are you putting other people first? Because the ego will never do that. When it does, it usually wants credit, like, yeah, I gave money to this, or I helped them. Here's an award for that. We like that. We like to get the attention. If you ever saw the Seinfeld episode where George, one of the characters, goes to tip, and he had a big tip, and he was going to put it in the jar. And just when he did it, he wanted the credit. Just when he did it, the server turned around and didn't see it. He put it in, and he was like, I want him to see me put this tip in there. So the server turns back around while he's pulling it back out. He's pulling it back out to wait till the server sees him and he can put it back in. So he goes, thank you for the $20. Well, the server thought he was stealing money out of the tip jar. He wanted that credit. That's how we operate when we are operating under the ego. So if you are arguing, whether it's about this or anything else, and it's about you wanting what you want, you are 100% listening to this guy. Because it doesn't want to wear one. You're not wearing one now, are you? And you're way closer than 6 feet. That's not good. We know how this gets transferred. It's a fact. We don't want 28% of the planet to die. Is that really a big deal? But if you're thinking, I refuse, and I laugh at the comments, I refused to wear one. Hey, good for you. Why don't you just get out of my space? Because I know this is how it is spread. Okay, why is that so difficult? Because we stand for things that are so silly. We create stories in our mind that I'm somehow violated. You're never violated. It's impossible. The physical world can do all at once, but you are truly a light being that has unlimited powers. Right? And so this is just an energy field that you don't have to listen to anymore because you know it is a lower density energy. It's a lower frequency. There's nothing down there. It's a lower frequency, and so what it's going to do is everything is about me and mine. So everybody else down there, guess what's happening? They're not going to be giving and caring about you first. They're all caring about themselves. And that's where hoarding and lack starts. Because if they'll only give if they receive something. So I've heard some of you say, I'm giving and people take advantage. I'm like, that's a load of crap. You know what? Giving's giving. Only the ego expects something, right? From somebody by the giving. It needs something. I have to get something. Everything it does is about me getting something, me being right. It's programming. So what we must do, and I teach this in my Breakthrough Fear course, this is a big one, is all this stuff going on, you got to recognize where it's coming from and what it is. And if it's negative and it makes you feel bad, and it's really all just about you and what you get, even if it's really powerful, I just really want that, I really want it, it's okay. Recognize it. Do not try and shut it down. It's never going away. It's part of the collective. It'll start to dissipate and dissolve because you're no longer focused. So quantum physics, if I'm not looking at it, it's not in the room. Oops, did you see my hand, my arm there? I shattered the illusion there for a second. All right, so if I'm not looking at it and listening to it, it literally doesn't exist for me. It literally doesn't exist. So, but the problem with us, with the chatter, is we're listening to it and believing it, and we act like we have no power over it, and that is who we are. And why is it doing that? You're programmed. It's trying to. By the way, it loves to create problems. It knows what to do with problems. It feels like it's in control when there are problems. It loves to argue. You guys arguing about our president, the Canadians, God bless you for recognizing how stupid that was. It is, humans are stupid, we're all stupid. I'm in that category because I'm part of the humanity. We have a stupidity factor. I call it the planet of assholes, so, but that's not who you truly are. You are perfect and unlimited, but you're donning this role of just really ridiculous behavior that has to do with the individual separation. I keep telling you this over and over. The key to the whole healing of the planet is to end separation. And that everything you do and feel and think should be focused on everything out there and how I can contribute. And regardless of what I think is right or wrong, how is this other person feeling and thinking? Because they feel just as strongly about things as I do. Right? They think they're equally as right, so why would you argue it? Because they believe it and you think you're right. Why do you have to be right? And so this is causing stress and separation, and it feels really bad, and it is. It's a lower frequency. It doesn't feel good. So when you're arguing with somebody else, they are now going into that lower frequency with you. So you're actually not only enticing people to get, triggering their, it's not your fault because they have a choice. You don't want to go there. So when you feel like this thing's chattering all the time, all you have to do is say to yourself, that is my ego wanting to be in control of the chaos that it's always known. It likes problems because it knows what to do with problems. And it likes to be right because, it feels threatened if it's not right. It's always looking for the threat. It's trying to take care of you. It means well. I know you mean well. But what happens is it doesn't feel good because separation is not our natural state of being. It is created by lower density thinking and beliefs. So what happens is it feels bad because we know that we're one, and it doesn't feel good to treat another person badly or be angry with them or blame them or get into conflict with them. Because if you really sat down and talked to those people that you think are wrong, I guarantee you'd find something in them that is so amazing, or a story that you didn't know about. And even if you think they're total jackasses, that's okay. It's still a part of you. It is still the essence of the one. And the one doesn't make mistakes. Right? These are your challenges. So instead of saying, oh, they're wrong and blah, blah, say, wait a minute, that's my test. Here's my test. Am I going to go into that space of the ego and lower density and have to be right and argue about something? Or I'm going to say, okay, what is the situation here? And I can listen, you can yak all you want, talk to the hand. But what I want to do is recognize that and say, okay, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm going to look at this situation and ask myself what is the absolute highest choice that I can make. I don't like it when you stare at me like that. The highest choice that you can make in the situation that puts the other person first. People grabbing toilet paper, why don't you turn around and hand it to that person next to you? Get yourself some toilet paper. You don't have to load up the cart. Hopefully we're over all that anyways. But if this happens again, can you be the person? Because even if it means that you're not going to have as much, I'm going to tell you the frequency and the cause and effect that comes from that is so massively huge for you. Abundance will flow to you because your message is, there's enough. I'm sharing, I'm giving. And so that message, that quantum field that it's happening in that you don't recognize at the time because you don't see it materially, it will show up. And so you don't do it for that though. If you never got your toilet paper back again, you do it because it was the right thing to do as a unified field. All right? So when you go into that space, you will never lack for anything again. It will all show up. It's going to everything will show up for you, so you don't have to go into that space of being right. Open up and imagine, what if you learned something from somebody? Or who even has to have those discussions? Let's switch into discussions that are really beneficial to yourself, the planet, and others. Let's talk about that. If you are taking up space and time with negative thoughts and arguments and stuff, you don't want to go there. That is not the new earth. You'll never make it. You can't. It's impossible. Because there's no arguing in the new earth. All right? So when this starts up again, and you guys find yourself, if you're arguing with anybody, you're the problem. You're the low density. Take a look at yourself. Why do I need to complain about this? What's the problem? There isn't any. Do I have food, a roof over my head? You know, I have opportunities to be amazing on this planet. I have opportunities to give and help other people. When an opportunity comes to you, can I do something with this? Instead, what do I do about the animals? Don't listen to this. What do I do about the animal abuse? Well, I don't know. What are you doing about it? Most of you guys still going and getting burgers from, fast food joints and putting chemicals in your body and go, why am I getting sick? And oh, the poor animals. And it's like, you have to be the source of the change. You have to be the source of the change. And you're going to hear the yak, yak, yak from other people, lower densities. Not to be looked at like, oh, you're a lower density. No, you are me. You are a part of me that is expressing itself in that frequency. I'm not going to go there. So how am I, if I'm the higher frequency, going to handle that? I don't have to have an opinion at all. I don't have to argue with that. I don't have to judge that. And so then you are tested, and then, now I'm going to higher frequency because I don't see problems anymore. I just see opportunities to be amazing, because what you do here is going to count. Every single thing, every thought. Every thought. So I can hear you, but I don't have to listen. You can gab away all you want. This is how you control it. It is programming. It likes to be in control. It always will go into the space that's familiar to it, because that's how it controls things in a way that, it knows. It knows what's in the room. It knows what's in the cellar. But if it goes up to the penthouse and it's never been to the penthouse, it's going to be very uncomfortable drinking champagne when it's been, drinking sewage water, right? I know you'd never drink sewage water, but you know what I'm saying. So it goes up and it's like, I'm uncomfortable with these fancy people, because you create another story in your head, champagne and so you'll run down to the basement like, oh, I'm a big dude here. I'm a big, I know, we're all going to argue with each other. And that's how it works. Don't get sucked into that. And everything you look, and there are going to be other people out there that know this. And they're going to trigger you and get you fighting and tell you that everything's a conspiracy. Who cares? You know what? Big deal. Blah, blah, blah. That doesn't affect me. All this stuff's going on. So what am I doing? What am I doing? What are you doing? Because you're so powerful, you're so amazing, you're so perfect, and all that other stuff's a story, but you just have to stop listening to it. See? Even Hacker T agrees, who's playing the ego today for me. So just remember, it's trying to protect you. It likes to be in control. It likes what's familiar. So what's going to happen is when you go into space that is good for you, it feels good, it's a higher frequency, it's like light, and it feels amazing, you're giving, and it's all wonderful, then this guy will stop talking, because you're going to feel in control. You're going to realize, wow, I don't have to fight for anything. I don't have to argue about anything. So, he's going to take a nap. Right? Because he doesn't have to battle for anything, because he doesn't feel lack. And he doesn't feel, by the way, I don't mean to say he, it doesn't feel lack. It doesn't feel sadness and things on the same level it does down here. So you're going to be okay because it starts to take a back seat. And when it does talk, you just don't listen to it anymore. You recognize what it is. It's a trigger. So does this make sense? It likes being in control, and in control is familiarity with whatever it is, even if it's nasty stuff. You've got to go into that space that's uncomfortable for a while and know, when you know you're making a good decision, you feel it in here. You're not hearing it here. You're feeling it in here. You go, I know this is the right thing to do. And sometimes it's keeping your pie hole shut. You know, I'm going to make masks that so that we can't even talk. We're going to sell it, you know, year round, even when we're past all this. And by the way, this is going to pass. It's going to pass, and you're going to go back and go, oh, I spent my time arguing, and we only had to wear it how many months? What's the big deal? What's the big deal? Really? I want you to start to put your priorities in check. Get them in check, and ask yourself, is this really what you want? Does it feel good? Is my blood pressure going up? Because you're amazing. You can do this today. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful. Internet marketing, we've got people, this is a platform. Actually, if you want to launch a business of any kind, even if you have no experience, come on over. We've got training. I am doing something now with the students. I'm actually one of the students. I'm not a trainer. Twice a month, I have a private webinar. If you come over and actually join and do the training, you launch a business, even if you have no products or services, I have something called Think Tank. And so we go into Think Tank and we talk about what are businesses or ideas that we can create, that you can actually create an actual business and use the internet to do some amazing things, because we don't talk about doing stuff that's not good for the planet or other people. So all of our ideas are on a super high level. So I'm doing Think Tank for free. A couple times a month we do this, and you see me live in a webinar and can talk to me live every week in this training anyways, because I just want to give to you. I want you to succeed, and I want to use all of my background in business to help you do that. And of course the training is the foundation of everything there. Now if you go down in the description, you can also sign up for any one of my courses, and if you're in the Manifest Anything video series, that's a free email that comes over once a week. I give you big discounts. So you can go in there, and if you want to buy one of my courses or webinars or master classes, go to landriaonkka.com for that. And you can see what I've got in there. If you want to learn manifesting, you click on the manifesting. If you want to go into awakening, click on awakening. And love and relationships, I have different categories that if you want to work on that in your life, go in and see what courses I have available for you. We're just going to keep going and learning and transitioning and helping one another. And abundance, you know, you can be abundant doing amazing things for the planet, right? You can get paid, instead of getting paid for destroying the planet, why don't you get paid for making a big difference on the planet? And you can flourish, and other people will flourish because of it. So if you have a story about abundance too, then maybe you need to stop listening to that. Yeah, we're not listening. All right, so you're whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Please subscribe. Ring the bell if you want to get notified. And I also have subscription link in the description. I have to ask because people forget to subscribe, and then they go, oh, I wasn't notified of your email, of your video. You ready? We're friends now, right? Okay. Namaste.